dissect your trades for you. Today, we're going to go over some of the late season moves made in some of our leagues and see whether they helped pan out, if they panned out for these guys and help them win a title. Matt, how we doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Birdman. It's a good New Year indeed. Hopefully, a lot of the listeners are sharing in that laugh as well as adding a fantasy championship to your resume is always a good thing.
Yes, it's always a happier New Year when you have a Dynasty title to add to the mix. Matt, I know you pulled off one in the Birdhouse One League.
Hmm.
You were able to defeat me in the championship. Yes, yes, I was taken down. Unfortunately, our Birdhouse 4 team, which was dominating all season long as the 1 seed, got the bye, and then we didn't even get third place. So
No, came up
what
short.
what are you gonna do? That's just the way it goes in Dynasty. I mean, we're going to talk about some lessons learned here, but I think one of mine. So, like, the I was in the semifinals in 17 of 25 leagues, and I made the the championship in 11 of those, and ended up winning 6. So
Okay.
all in all, not a rough season. Now, of my bigger leagues, I ended up just winning 4, which really means something to me.
Yeah.
But you know, all what I really learned from that, I guess, is that all you can do is get to the semifinals, and whether that means you got there via a bye or because you had to win a first round game, just get into the semifinals, and then after that, it's really tough to
Mm.
to strategically make yourself win, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Like, there is so much variance that goes on. I don't mean luck, I just mean variance, and that comes into play, like Josh Allen going for 7 points in week 16, right? um, Kyle Pitts going for 50 plus points in week 15. Just a couple of
And then
instances where,
1.5 the next week. Yeah. So,
yeah, exactly. And so you're not going to be able to predict all of that kind of stuff happening. But what you can do is build yourself up to the best team possible, give yourself the best possible chance of winning.
mhm.
And in general, it works out for you over the long haul. And so that's what we're trying to do here is help you build the strongest contender that you possibly can, without crushing your future. So I know late season you want to make some deals so that you have the best team, um, but at the same time you want to build up your portfolio, I guess, build up
Mhm.
your bankroll in your draft picks. And so I think, I don't know, can you give me one lesson that you definitely learned from this season in trading, Matt?
Yes. So I don't think there's anything wrong with making trades preseason. That being said, you
So preseason, you
not
mean
coming off
post
your bye.
draft? You mean
I'm
like
sorry.
you mean post draft? You're talking like
Yes,
July
post
and
draft,
August.
like post draft, pre-season
Yeah.
kickoff, right? You can totally make trades there, especially if you stacked up a bunch of draft capital and you're looking to start building out your roster to compete a little bit. That's fine. But you can't be trading off all your draft capital preseason to build what looks like a preseason winner. Because guess what? You're not winning the season before week 1. And having good draft capital to spend later in the year, if you're in position to, is a good thing to have because nothing makes a trade go off late season like a first round pick. And if you've got a couple of those stacked up, your chances of getting a deal done that's going to help build that best case scenario for you going into the playoffs, you're going to have that. And if you spend all of it preseason, which I've made this mistake. So if you spend it preseason building out a team that you think is going to be the winner right then and there, you're fooling yourself. You're absolutely fooling yourself, and you shouldn't do it. So that's probably the biggest lesson I learned is drafting well is great, but then spending all the capital right behind it to try and just because you're caught up in the moment and you want to build that winner right then and there, you can't do that. You can't do that. So my biggest piece of advice is don't be afraid to trade before the season starts, but you got to be really smart with that draft capital not to spend it just to get it done. So you can't win in September, but you can lose it. So
yes, you can't win in September, but you can definitely lose it. Yeah, and we saw some players such as like Jaden Daniels succumb to poor play and injury. Jaden Daniels was one who had risen significantly up the Dynasty ranks heading into 2025. He had become, a top 3 Dynasty quarterback right there with Lamar and Josh Allen. I even made I don't know if I guess I call it the mistake, but because I drafted him in one startup ahead of Josh Allen, only because I wanted to diversify. And obviously that didn't work out in 2025 for me, but it led me to building a roster that could hopefully now contend in 2026. And so that's not such a bad thing. Like I pivoted early, right? I still hung on to Jaden Daniels through it all, but I pivoted off some of my other players for an immense amount of draft capital heading now into 2026. That was the Taco Corp League. I think that now going into this year, someone similar like that would be Drake May, right? So Drake May now becomes the last season's Jaden Daniels and the prior season's CJ Stroud, right? Somebody who was young and looking like they could ascend to that elite level. And now Drake May has, and we'll see how he does in the playoffs because the Patriots definitely are going to be looking like either the 1 or the 2 seed in the AFC. And now will Drake May, we know Drake May will be like one of the top 3 picks in startups, probably right behind Josh Allen. And then it'll be a toss up between May or Lamar or some other position, depending on the league and the format, whatever. But do you see something different in Drake May versus Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud that gives you hope that he doesn't falter like those two have previous, are just most recent 2 seasons here in Dynasty?
I don't know if there's anything that I've seen that would make me feel any differently. I mean, my hopes for him are high. I mean, they were high after his rookie season. Again, if you go back to the 24 draft, it was before Jaden Daniels hit the scene, it was Drake May and Caleb Williams. That's all anyone really knew about. So
right.
To see Drake May get to where he is now is not a huge surprise. He's got a better coaching staff now who understands how to actually run a football team. And they brought in some pieces. Now, the one thing I will be curious to see is how they add to his targets. How do they add to the wide receiver depth of the pass catchers in general? Hunter Henry's old. Stephon Diggs has his issues. I know they got Kyle Williams and DeMar. They got some younger guys there, but I'm really curious to see how they build that. And I think that's going to be one of the bigger jumps. I think his understanding of the game and his ability to read and go through progressions is just fine. I don't think that's any of the issue. I think him being able to come back and repeat what he's done this year has a higher chance to do so because he's not all legs. It's not all legs. He stands in the pocket and fires the football, which that is repeatable, right? So I don't think there's anything that's led me to believe that it'll be different one way or the other than he sits in the pocket. But so did CJ. So um, we'll see. I think he's got as good a shot as anybody over the last few years to come out and be an elite quarterback. I mean, he's high on my radar.
Yeah. So does it? What happened with May? Does it sort of give you hope that Jaden Daniels bounces back this next season? Because Daniels is, I would argue, just as talented, if not even more talented. We saw what he did in 2024.
Right.
But then this year, just like he didn't start off playing very well, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of turned into a complete wash this season for
Right.
Jaden Daniels. And so I'm not asking you to put him to rank all your quarterbacks here, but
Sure.
do you think Daniels will bounce back next year? And I know Washington's coaching situation is kind of in flux. I mean, I don't know if Kingsbury will be back there as the OC. I'm not sure what the read is on Washington's coaching staff. I believe Dan Quinn's back. I don't think he's getting fired for this one bad season after a championship game appearance.
I think it's more of a front office fault than it is a coaching or a player's fault in Washington. It's weird how they played the offseason far as the pieces that they brought in and then the pieces that they ultimately kept, but just played hardball all the way to the end. And then, Jaden's top receiver or top pass catcher is out all camp and preseason, and he doesn't have, and then he gets thrown back into the mix.
I think that was the main mistake off the bat, right?
I think it was huge.
Not
huge.
Just
the whole offense
and getting him in there and not having you had that whole drama all August.
Yeah, I think that was stupid. And you're not giving your young quarterback the reps he needs with all of his receivers. And then everybody has to step up one spot because Terry's not there. And then Terry comes in, so everybody goes down a spot. It just doesn't make sense. And with a young quarterback, you can't – it's not like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers back there where you can just plug them in and they're just going to make it work because they've been doing it for 13 to 15 years, So there's a guy who's coming off his rookie year and his pass catching room is all over the place.
Right.
And then there was injuries throughout that room as well. So that doesn't help anything. So if they can get healthy, stabilize their front office and actually make good decisions so he has a full off season with his team, I think things will be better. So, yeah, I think there's plenty of hope for him to be able to bounce back. I mean, he's young. He's going into his third year. I want him to put on some size and some padding, so to speak, but not too much because I don't want it to mess with his game. So,
right.
But he does need to put on a little bit of padding. Either that or you got to learn how to get out of bounds faster. One of the two.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about another young quarterback in some of these trades, and that's Shedeur Sanders. But before that, we want to talk about one of his main pass catching threats and probably his top one, and that is Harold Fannin. And we had a deal go down right before I believe this was the semifinals in our Birdhouse House 4 League, and this involved Ty DeClaire from DD Fantasy and Troy, Ramzak Nation here. And so Ramzak was the second worst team in the league, right? So he had the 102 locked up. The 101 was locked up basically right out of the startup draft by Super Mega Toast. And but Ty was looking to make a push here. He, I think, was 5th or 6th during the season. Then he won his first round game. And then going into the semifinals, he decided to make that move to push for the title. And this is a start to tight end 0.75 tight end premium league. And so Ty here, interestingly, gave up his entire 2026 draft along with Tank Bigsby, who is just a throw in here, for Harold Fannin and Michael Wilson of the Arizona Cardinals, who obviously stepped things up this year with the emergence of Jacoby Brissett. It definitely, and then Marvin Harrison being hurt, both of those colliding at the same time definitely led to Michael Wilson's just absolute explosion and the second half of the season. So what are your thoughts on this deal here, Matt? From both sides here, giving up your entire 2026 draft and then on the other side, acquiring Fannin and Wilson.
Yeah, it's a bold move, Cotton. It's a bold move. I love getting Fannin in this deal because I think his future's bright, especially in a double tight end premium league. I'm sure things didn't work out in the Super Bowl had the way he wanted with the groin injury that came. But Michael Wilson's an interesting piece here. He showed this year why Arizona put the draft capital they did into him. And it took a little bit for him to get that showing, but man, this is a tough one to kind of break down. I mean, if the real question is what is Arizona going to do at quarterback and figure out the quarterback thing? Because I think my feelings on Marvin Harrison haven't really changed a whole lot. I think he's very overrated, and I think that just got massively exposed this year with Michael Wilson's emergence. Because I don't know. I just unimpressed with Harrison, but Michael Wilson, given the opportunity with decent quarterback play, with a quarterback who can go through progressions, he looked like an all-pro receiver. So, if Arizona gets their quarterback situation figured out, Michael Wilson this could end up being a heck of a deal for him next year. You got a young stud tight end who's going to demand target share with current setup. And then Michael Wilson, who seems to be the top receiver in Arizona right now, outside of Trey McBride. It's not a bad deal. It really isn't that bad a deal when you work it out. The first and second are the valuable picks here. I think it's a good deal. I think it's a good deal for Ty on that one, especially to give himself the opportunity to push in the championships. Yeah, I only see it as you're giving up 2 picks here. And I think a first and a second and Tank Bigsby for Michael Wilson and Fannin's pretty decent deal.
Yeah, so it was a first that turned into a late first, right? Mm-hmm. So Ty knew that, and then giving up what is a late second. Harold Fannin alone in this format, he finished tight end 5 on the season, right? Yeah. And so as a rookie, he passed up Tyler Warren stats wise. Okay. So, you got to rank Harold Fannin. He's at least a top 5 dynasty tight end right now. Yeah. And so to get him for a late first in this format seems like a very good deal value wise, right? Going forward. So I don't really hate losing all of your own draft capital here at all, for one, because now he's got 4 months to try and recoup any picks if he wants to. And he can do that through any number of routes, right? Now for Ramczak, I think it's a little interesting. Like, why would you give up Fannin? You're already solidified as the 102. It's not like he was trying to shed points here at this point. Yeah. But you're giving up 2 young assets like Michael Wilson. He's just going into what'll be his 4th year next season now. So he's only 25, 26 years old. I don't love it from Ramczak's side. I'll just put it that way. I know that you got a lot of draft capital here to play around with now. So we'll see where that gets him. But yeah, I really liked it from Ty's side and questioned it from Ramzak's side here. I don't think the value was off, but yeah, I did question it in that realm because I do think Brissett's going to end up being back as either a bridge quarterback or just be the guy. Next year
until they find theirs. Yeah,
I know that's making a player bet, like you're gambling on that, but I mean I don't think Michael Wilson will be just absolutely nothing next year, and this is best ball, so that gives you another angle on Wilson. It's not like you got to predict when to start him or not.
Right. Right. That's correct.
So yeah, I just
get Kyler Murray out of Arizona, and it's a fine deal for Ty.
Yeah. He's definitely one of the interesting off-season players that we'll see. One of the more polarizing guys. You've got Kyler Murray, who had a absolutely garbage season, but he's still stuck with that big contract. We'll see if Arizona can offload that onto somebody, restructure it somehow so that it makes sense for both sides. I think that it's a definite possibility, and it's something that Arizona needs to do. So I think they're going to be pushing for it very hard, and that makes it harder for them to gain value, really, because they're really going to be just dumping him, so to speak.
Yeah.
I remember the Brock Osweiler deal, right? where Denver literally gave, who was it, Cleveland, a draft pick, or gave, no, it was Houston, right?
Houston.
Yeah. Houston gained a draft pick by taking on Brock Osweiler.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Arizona, worst come to worst, just cut him and just deal with the dead cap.
Yeah.
I
mean, they are
back that organization. I mean, he's got him held hostage, and it's terrible.
Brissett is signed already with Arizona for next season, so there's that angle to it, right? Where if they just were to cut Kyler and draft a quarterback in, say, the second or third round, which there's going to be plenty of quarterbacks in that realm. I think that this quarterback class, had 5 or 6 guys that were looked at as potential first rounders, but no surefire first rounders. And right now we're looking at maybe 1 or 2. Like I think Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, he'll be a first rounder, probably the first one taken. And then you've got Dante Moore from Oregon, who's debating whether to come out or not. And it's either going to be those 2 or just 1, I think. And that leaves a number of guys, like 5 of them, that can be taken in the second and third rounds. So there's a lot of project quarterbacks, so to speak. Yeah. Maybe they could win out the job in camp, but no surefire things. So if Arizona decides to go that route, then they've got the safety valve in Brissett that can just start for them for like the first half of the year and see how things go.
Yeah, much like he did in New England a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I mean, as much as we loved Brissett fantasy wise, they didn't really win a lot of games.
No, their defense is atrocious.
And that's on the defense, really. Right. I mean, Brissett looked great in that Monday night game against the Cowboys, and that's what really started the whole thing off, with Brissett being a fantasy monster down the stretch.
Yeah,
for a lot of people. I mean, one of the best waiver wire acquisitions I can remember in recent history, in Dynasty at least. Because now some of our leagues he was already scooped up, but there were a number of leagues where he wasn't, and he paid off handsomely down the stretch for sure. All right, now we'll talk about another QB, and that would be a young man. Let's see if I can bring this up here. Okay. That would be Shedeur Sanders. So we'll bring up the first one here. This one's a little simpler. This one was in our bottom line league, which is a 12-team start 10. Pretty cookie cutter type league, half point tight end premium, super flex. This one we had Crackor acquiring Shedeur for his 2026 second, which is probably a little earlier, right? Probably like the 203, 204 pick, 204. Yeah. And then his 28 second as well, he threw on for Shedeur. What are your thoughts initially on this? Not necessarily your just thoughts on Shedeur, but the strategy around this 2 seconds for a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, I know a little bit more being in this league, kind of the background on this, but I mean, a second this year, that's early, and a second in 28 that we can presume will be at least middle of the pack at best. I mean, I'm fine with it. To be honest, I think based on my very recent look into second round picks, I don't think it's the end of the world to give up 2 seconds for a quarterback that looks like he's probably going to be a starter next year. I mean, I don't like the kid personally, but he did play pretty well, all things considered. He looked better than everybody in front of him that got a shot first. So I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. I think this is actually a good split for both teams. Max has a good team built, and he gets a couple more second rounders to add to his draft portfolio, and then Crackor gets himself a young quarterback. That was one of the things he needed to do, and now he's got one for a reasonably affordable cost. So I got no problem with this deal. It comes late, got a good price. I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I like it.
For 2 seconds in a dynasty league, a super flex dynasty league, that's not bad.
Not bad. I mean, when you're talking somebody with the cachet of the name Shedeur Sanders, you're going to pay up a little, right, when he's doing well. You know, as polarizing as he was, and I know both you and I were kind of on the same wavelength with Shedeur. We weren't in on him as even, a third round. I mean, we were both taking Tyler Shook ahead of him, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's safe to say Shook, I think, should be ranked ahead of Shedeur right now. I think Shook is more solidified. Neither of them is guaranteed anything for next year.
Shook won games down the stretch.
Yeah, exactly. To be fair, Sanders won a couple of games. I mean, at least he beat the Steelers last week. And there was questions as to whether it was the defense's fault or not, that Cleveland fell apart completely. But that's a whole nother, Cleveland's got a lot of issues coaching wise to figure out.
That's the whole point. Point is, to be fair, like Shook actually looked really good in most of his starts. Shedeur's got one good start. He did some good things. I just think Shook should be ranked ahead of him. He's in a better situation, stability in the coaching room, a coach that wanted to draft him. I think Shook's should be ahead of him for the time being. So
yeah, exactly. He's got the stability with the front office and coaching for now, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Shedeur, again, he's polarizing. If he steps it up to another level, then there's going to be some real excitement going because of who he is, right?
Yeah.
And so there's always that possibility with Shedeur, and it's starting to sort of come to fruition, I think, with Shedeur. Here's another deal we had. This one was in the Birdhouse 4 league, and this one was between Havdi and Justin, JV Uncut here. And so this one was a wild one. let's try and dissect this one here. So this is a best ball 12 by 12. Start 2 tight end, 0.75 tight end premium league. And we had Havdi. Now this was prior to the playoffs. And we had Havdi acquiring Kelsey, Marcus Mariota, Kenny Gainwell, Dalton Kincaid, and a third for Michael Mayer, Shedeur Sanders, and a 27 first.
Oh,
so break this one down. This one,
I mean, hindsight, it didn't work out very well for Havdi, did it?
no,
Mariota
he didn't win
got hurt. Kincaid got hurt. Kelsey went dark. Gainwell was the only bright spot out of that deal. And then when you look at the other side, Sanders rose. So did Mayer.
Yes.
And you gave up a first. That's a tough one that's a tough pill to swallow if I'm Ryan. But at the time when this is done, it probably, you look at it and you're like, it's probably overdone in Ryan's favor at the time it was pulled off. But when you look at it now and it's like, man, what a difference 3 or 4 weeks makes on a deal, huh?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Havdi did finish second in the league.
Oh, I'm not saying that I just say it didn't work out the way I think he wanted it to, just on the injuries, man. I mean, he lost 2 of those players before the semifinals, or one of them before the playoffs or semis, and then the other one in the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Kelsey
played a full game.
Kelsey, once Mahomes went down, it was kind of like he kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think the value wise, I don't hate it even now. Like a first, again, we talked Fannin right now. I would have Fannin ahead of Kincaid dynasty wise for tight ends, but Kincaid's not terrible, especially in this format. Again, start 2 tight end, 0.75 tight end premium. Kincaid's going to cost you a first in this format. If you can get him for a second, I think that's a steal for a starting tight end in that kind of format. So looking at it from that perspective, I guess I don't hate it either. I do like it from Justin's side though. Now, I think when it initially went down, it seemed to favor Havdi, but that's, again, we were in the midst of point scoring season, midst of the playoffs. And, Justin was just looking at it from his perspective, building towards 2026. And he's looking good on the other end now because Kenny Gainwell, like, unless Rodgers is back next year, I don't know that we're counting on Kenny Gainwell for really anything, right? Mariota could go somewhere else and be a bridge starter. It's possible. I think he showed signs this season that he can do that. But
he's a perfect backup to Jaden Daniels in Washington, and Washington would be wise to keep him there.
I agree. 100%.
That's where he should stay. I mean, I'm not trying to be weird or judgy, but it's a perfect fit for him, and it's good for Washington because he can come in and just do what you need to do, and you don't even have to change your offense for it. So,
I agree with that 100%. I'm just saying value wise for Mariota, he could even go out there and end up starting somewhere next year. It's possible. As a bridge quarterback, he definitely shown that he can't be a franchise quarterback, but he can be a good backup in this league. And so, but then you got Shedeur on the other side for Justin, and that's giving him, he gave up Mariota and a couple tight ends. He's got a potential starting quarterback for who knows how long, right? Plus that 27 first. And Michael Mayer even showed up down the stretch. I mean, Mayer would have done, I think Mayer outscored Kelsey and or Kincaid in that last week.
Yeah,
when Bowers was out. So, in this format again, any tight end that can breathe is rosterable.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like the super flex leagues of tight ends here. You know what I'm talking about. So
yeah.
I
love tight ends, man. I won. Well, you know this too, because I won a redraft starting 3 rookie tight ends most of the league, most of the season, I should say. I started Warren, Loveland, and Fannin.
Hey,
dude,
definitely
the tight end premium was like up to what 2.5 total points or 2 points per catch. Like, why wouldn't I do that if they're hitting? It got me more points.
Yeah. So, No, 2025 was definitely the resurgence of the tight end, I think, because of this rookie class.
It's year 2 of running backs, for the most part, staying pretty healthy and being a dominant fantasy asset. It's 2 years in a row now where if you invested in the right running backs, and you could say that any year, but I mean, we only lost a couple of running backs here and there, and most of them stayed healthy. Most of them produced. I mean, it was a good running back year as well. But you're right, man. The tight ends have reemerged, and I think it's great. I think it's totally great.
Yeah, and it was a combo of the rookies playing well as those late round tight ends playing pretty well as well. Right. Like, Zach Ertz and Hunter Henry's, Dallas Goddard's, right? And you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I had one league where I took over. All those guys
became relevant. So, yeah, it was really cool to see that and get some production where you don't always plan on it. You can hope for it, but you can't always plan on like just solid, consistent production out of every tight end or your group of tight ends,
Yeah. And who knows, maybe next year the defenses will make an adjustment and then the tight ends won't score as much. But I think it had something to do with the way the defenses were playing teams that led to heavier tight end production this year. Just leaving that part of the field open, and offenses then taking advantage of that the best way that they could. But yeah, it was a great season for the mid to late round tight end. We'll put it that way. Yes. Here's another deal. I did this one prior to week 16. So I had just traded for Devontae Adams like 2 weeks earlier, I think, from you. And here I had to turn around and flip him because he was out. And so this was
turned out to be a good grab.
Yeah, I mean, now going into 2026, we'll have to see if Mike Evans actually returns or not. Yeah. But if he doesn't, I still got Van Ginkel on the backside.
That's right.
And this is an IDP league, obviously, and Van Ginkel is a very solid performer, even at age 30. That's the one nice thing about the defensive players is they tend to last a little longer.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you got John Mechie here, who's a nice dart throw for Steve. I think Mechie did enough to earn him some playing time next year with the Jets. Who knows what the Jets are going to look like next season. But I think that both A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie did enough that they earned the right to come into camp as the 2 and 3, depending on what rookie wide receiver they may draft. But with Garrett Wilson hopefully coming back, A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie there, both super talented players when they were drafted. Mechie obviously had the leukemia, that unfortunate scenario, which he battled back from amazingly. And now, he is a super talented route runner. And so Granted, he had Tyrod Taylor and then the rookie Brady Cook throwing the ball to him. So those weren't ideal. But, Mechie still had flashes. We'll put it that way. And if they can bring in somebody like, they probably won't get Mendoza, but if they could land a Dante Moore in New York, that would probably be ideal for them. We'll see what they have going. There you are, Matt. I knew you'd make it back in. Just finishing up on John Mechie and A.D. Mitchell there in New York. Depends who they end up bringing in, right? At quarterback there for the Jets. It's going to be hard for them to get Mendoza now. I think Mendoza, if he stays as the number one quarterback, he's probably penciled in to go to the Raiders, who have solidified themselves as the 101. But after that, the Jets are the next team up, needing a quarterback for sure. So it'll be interesting there, because if Dante Moore comes out, then he's their guy. But otherwise, who knows who could end up there?
I would be surprised to see Aaron Glenn pull the trigger on a quarterback with his first round pick, unless he trades back and gets multiple. I just would be very surprised to see it. I also think Mendoza is a little overhyped. So if Oakland wants to throw all their chips in and Tom Brady's on board with it, maybe there's something there I'm not seeing. But, look, if you need a quarterback and you're looking to draft one this year, good luck. Good luck. I really think you're rolling the dice on anybody. So if for me, I wouldn't be pulling the trigger on a first-round guy. I would be looking maybe second, third round for a quarterback. Less commitment to it, see if it works out, because ultimately I think the first through the third round worth of quarterbacks in this year's draft, pretty close. It's all pretty close.
Yeah, they are really. Mendoza came out of nowhere.
But just look at his numbers, man. Most of his production came from like 2 or 3 games against horrible teams. And that's when he plays the good teams, he hasn't been.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
That's one game. I'm talking about a whole season worth of work. A whole season. Hey. Look at the whole season. That's it.
He led them on a big game-winning drive against Oregon during the season. He led them to victory over Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. I'm not trying to say that Mendoza is Trevor Lawrence level or anything like that as a prospect, because we know T-Law was like going to be the 101 for 2 or 3 years. We knew from his freshman season, right? Yeah. But yeah, there's something to be said. These quarterbacks that come out of nowhere, it can go either way, right? Like Joe Burrow did that. Jaden Daniels did that. Those are 2 guys who came up out of nowhere, but then, you go back in time and Jamarcus Russell did that. So it's hard to say.
Man, you just named 3 LSU quarterbacks.
I'm trying to.
One school sample size there. That's great.
But it's a wide spectrum there, right? Joe Burrow versus Jamarcus Russell. Could you get any further from how they ended up in the NFL?
No, I think he's a good kid, and I think he's a good quarterback. When it comes to spending first-round draft capital on somebody that you're going to put your whole franchise on, if you're drafting a quarterback in round 1, you're putting the franchise on them. That's what you're doing, and I don't know if I would do that. That's all.
Yeah,
he could turn out to be great, dude. He could turn out to be. I don't know. He could be the next Troy Aikman. He really could be, but I don't know. I don't know. Based on what I have in front of me, the data I have in front of me, I wouldn't spend a first-round pick on the guy. That's just me.
I think what's more important for Mendoza's success, and if, let's say, he goes to the Raiders, is what are they doing with their coaching staff and their front office and everything. That is going to really
that's fair.
Determine whether he has success or not. Like, who is his guiding rock that he's had. He's obviously had that in Indiana with Cignetti. The coach came out of nowhere, but brought him with him. And for the last 2 years, he's just brought him up, and then we've seen it this year. It's hard to say. It's hard to trust the Raiders right now, being able to bring in a coaching staff that will mentor a young quarterback to success. That's the hardest part, I think, and why for me, even with I like what I've seen from Mendoza, but it's hard for me to put him in a super flex draft. It's hard for me to put him over Jeremiah Love or one of the top 3 wide receivers. I've got him put in as the 105, and he's sort of in, Cam Ward territory, really, because Cam Ward went into an ugly situation, and we all saw what happened to him, right?
Yeah, golly. Yeah.
So, yeah, we've got plenty of time to dissect that, though. Yeah. Here's another deal.
He didn't draft Cam Ward thinking that he was going to be a really good taxi squad guy, because ultimately he'd have been a fantastic taxi squad guy.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully you didn't draft him expecting to contend with him this year.
Right.
But plenty of people drafted Jackson Dart and were able to start him in their championships. So there you go. And Jackson Dart was where did he get picked?
Like 25th, 26th.
Yeah, 25th, like right? So a late first, and that's where I could easily see 1 or 2 quarterbacks going from that mix of 5 or 6 quarterbacks that we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And any of those guys, like I said, all of those guys were rated ahead of Mendoza heading into this season, right? And now you have the scenario where NFL teams are going to be able to draft them later, and I think they're just as talented, honestly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be the advantage for those teams who are getting those guys in the late first, second, or third round of the NFL draft. Yeah. So here's a deal. Now this pick, we know now is the 203. All right, and so this is one where I was just basically able to get rid of Daniel Jones on a team where I had 4, maybe 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I was just looking to get something better than a third for him, because Daniel Jones with an Achilles injury, it's hard to say when he'll be back. And then on top of for Daniel Jones, we don't even know where he's going to be next year, right? Yeah. I think if we can narrow it down to Indy or maybe 1 or 2 other teams like Minnesota, I know has been mentioned, but I don't know that they're going to just pull the plug on McCarthy.
I don't know if they're going to bring Daniel Jones back, because then that means they're admitting that they screwed up with McCarthy.
And I think McCarthy showed enough in the last month that there's hope there for McCarthy. So I don't think they're going to be bringing Daniel Jones in. So, but there'll be a couple of other teams that will show interest in Daniel Jones.
Sure. Oakland might be one of them.
Yeah. And it's just
Oakland. Vegas.
Yeah. I was wondering when you don't worry, I call him Oakland too. But Daniel Jones, I mean, I feel bad for the guy. Like, he literally lost probably $100,000 in a contract where he could have gotten a 3 or 4 year deal from Indy, similar to what Baker got in Tampa and Darnold got last year from Seattle. He could have gotten a 3-year, $100 million deal for sure.
Yep.
Right, had he not gotten hurt. But now he's hurt. Now he's looking at what they're going to give him, a 1-year prove it type deal. I could see him coming back to Indy, but it's going to be like for 15 or 20 million only, right?
Yeah.
And we say 15 or 20 million only.
Look, they might do something crazy. Indy's done crazy stuff with quarterbacks before. I mean, look at their whole roster of quarterbacks right now. It's freaking crazy, man. You've got Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard, and Phillip Rivers. Your whole quarterback room is crazy, dude. So who knows what's going to happen there, dude? Who
Yeah, it's
knows?
definitely all over the place, and I think their best route. I don't expect Rivers to be back. Okay, so that takes him out of the equation. Then you've got
Yes.
Riley Leonard, Anthony Richardson, and the potential re-signing of Daniel Jones. I think their best bet's to try and ship Anthony Richardson off to somebody
Yep.
who is willing to take the risk. Because I do think Anthony Richardson is still plenty young enough that he could become something in this league. Will he? I don't know that that's something I'd want to bet on, but for the right price, I'll still take him for like a third rounder in Dynasty. You know what I mean? If I've got
Yeah.
extra thirds, sure, I'd throw one at him because fantasy wise, he's got those legs and that
Yeah.
gets us points, right? I'm not talking NFL wise, I'm just talking fantasy wise.
Yeah.
So I do hope Anthony Richardson gets an opportunity somewhere else. But that's on Indy, whether they want to admit their mistake there or not. I think they kind of already did when they brought in Daniel Jones this year.
Yeah.
And so, and the command he had of that offense in the first half of this season, I think should be enough for them to re-up with him, at least for 1 or 2 seasons. Now, depending on how he'll come back, who knows? It's an Achilles injury, and Kirk Cousins didn't look good coming back from it. It's not an easy injury to come back from and be full force.
Right. Which foot was it that it happened on? Is it
Which
his
foot?
right or his left?
I'm not sure.
Because that makes a big difference for a quarterback. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
If it's his right foot and he's pushing off that right foot to deliver the football, yeah, it's going to be a big problem. But if it's his left foot, he's not driving off the left nearly like he is his right. It's just a transitionary piece, so it's a little bit different. So I guess if you really want to know, dig into his injury and start to figure out the mechanics of throwing a football, and you'll see how much.
Well, and nobody's going to know that injury better than the Colts, right? Because he's been in the building,
right,
this whole second half of the season. So they're going to know it better than any other team will.
Watch his contract movement. If you see they sign him to a couple of years, he's probably okay.
Right.
He gets traded, I don't know. Or they do a sign and trade or just release it. I don't know what they're going to do. But you can just see what he does with Indy. That should pretty much tell you everything you need to know. Yeah.
But is this something, would he be something you'd want to give up of the 203 for?
I don't know. I mean, like you said, it just depends on my roster. If I only have 2 or 3 quarterbacks, probably not. But if you're sitting there with 4 or 5, probably.
Yeah, if you need a quarterback, like he's just as good of a bet as a rookie that we're going to be drafting in the second round, right?
Again, it gets into my roster. Do I have the space to afford just giving him up?
Yeah.
Or do I need to kind of hold on and see what happens?
And he, to be fair to Justin here, I'm playing the other side of it, but he had a lot of draft capital, and so that's kind of why I went to him.
Well, the reverse side. If you have tons of draft picks, but you don't have the players, then go fire out a second round pick and get you a guy that could potentially come in and help you next year or the year after. But
right.
I understand.
All right, so here's another one from Justin. He did pull the trigger on this one, and this one was in the. I'm trying to remember. This was in the Mojo League, I believe, and so he had the 102 and traded for Tet McMillan and Chimere Dike, giving up Rashad Bateman, Cam Scadaboo, 28 third, and the 102. All right. So this one I don't totally hate as much as I did initially when he did the trade. But I still I still kind of lean
102 is a
to
big price tag. If you hold that pick for a few months, you can get so much more for it. But
yeah.
that's
He wanted the points though. He needed the points, and that's why he went after Tet here.
yeah. I mean, okay, so I don't know anything about the setup, but if he's going for points and he was competing, he gets two young receivers that could potentially hit his lineup for a Super Bowl run. And if they don't, he gets to fall back on two young receivers.
Yeah, it was a
Right,
12
he
by
gets rid of
10
a
lineup
non-producing
week.
receiver, an injured running back, a 102. So he's getting rid of Scatterboo in the 102. It's
Yeah,
not it's
Scattaboo.
not
I mean,
horrible. It's not
Scattaboo's
horrible
still.
for fullback. Yeah.
Are you still paying a late first for Scattaboo?
No.
No, second
No.
rounder now.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Mid second. And it's
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
simply because yeah, I mean, yeah, he's ahead of schedule in his injury recovery. He's probably going to be good to go week 1 next year. He's still a running back, very violent style running back, who's probably going to get hurt again. And depending on where you are in your build, adding the piece of that running back, could be further down the road. So no, I'm not paying a late first for Scat right now. I know some people will because they just like the guy.
right.
But
There's that.
I'm not doing it. No, I like rings and trophies and checks more than I do the players. So
Scattaboo is polarizing, but in a good way, right? Like
yeah,
you're either you can't hate the guy at all. I don't know anybody, literally anybody, that hates the guy because he just
yeah,
plays so hard, right? Um, but there's that. Do you want to pay that extra just because he's a likable player, right? Like,
yeah,
what kind of points are we actually getting from him?
right,
The Giants can't be much worse next year, right? You got to figure that they're going to improve. We have no idea who they're going to bring in, but whoever comes in there is walking into a great situation, right? You got Dart, Malik Neighbors coming back, Wandale
yeah,
Robinson, Theo Johnson. Then you've got Scattaboo and Tyron Tracy in the backfield.
yeah,
I mean, like, they're loaded with talent. I'd expect them to be drafting an offensive lineman at some point with their first 3 picks.
yeah,
Um, and then, yeah, we'll see what system comes in there. But between Scattaboo and Tracy, like, those two are going to be able to play in any kind of system, really.
yeah.
Um, and then you've got what would I say, a versatile quarterback in Jackson Dart, who seems like he could fit the mold of just about any kind of system, right?
Yeah.
Whether that offensive coordinator comes in and he wants to run like an up tempo run and shoot type system, or it's a slow it down, run the ball a lot type offensive coordinator. Jackson Dart could run that kind of system too, I think.
Hmm.
So there's hope for Scattaboo, at least, is what I'm getting at. I don't hate the side that gave up Tet McMillan, because you're getting the 102 here. You're going to be able to draft a prospect similar to Tet McMillan,
Mm-hmm.
in that you're going to get one of the top 3 wide receivers if you're looking that route.
Yeah.
And then you're getting Scattaboo. So I like it. I mean, I like Scattaboo over DK. And I'm as big of a Chimmery DK fan out there you'll find, but I would take Cam Scattaboo over him. So yeah, I like it from the other side. I don't hate it because McMillan had a monster rookie season. Like, he finished wide receiver 14 in most formats is where he came in at. Was pretty consistent. Definitely more consistent than Egbuka, right? The other rookie receiver who was high early in the season and then faded.
I think that was a Tampa Bay issue, not an Ibuka issue. Tampa, no, and I know that's your team, but they've kind of imploded.
Oh yeah, completely fell apart.
The injuries mounted, and it just, it's bigger
Yeah, and I
things,
think
bigger and better things for Ibuka next year. So
yeah, Ibuka's going to be one of the more interesting off-season players as to where people value him, right?
mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, yeah,
Anyway, I mean, the deal's not bad. I prefer the receiver side to fall back on here, but that's well, yeah, whatever.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, at least you know
I like the receiver end of it.
what you're getting in
Exactly.
McMillan, right? All
Yeah,
right.
and some of it's this draft class too. So yeah, let's take a look at one more.
Here's our deal that we did. Which league was this? This was Birdhouse 1.
No, this is fisting fantasy fisting frenzy.
Oh yeah. Okay. So a 12 by 12 best ball. I threw you Roma Dunze, who started off the season hot, similar to Ibuka, and then completely fell off the map. Ironically, as Caleb Williams was getting better, right?
Yeah.
And I was more than happy to get Devonta Smith and Kenny Gainwell, but now seeing what happened, my hopes for Gainwell, he's not going to be much next year. At least I'm not counting on it. Now, Devonta Smith, I'm happy. I mean, yeah, it's a downgrade in dynasty value from a Dunze to Devonta Smith, but production wise, I'm just hoping that it's a wash there, at least for the next couple of seasons. Dunze has a higher ceiling. I'll give him that. However, with Luther Burden emerging now in Chicago, that could hinder that a little bit for Rome. Where are you at with Rome right now? I know you made this deal a couple weeks ago, but now what we've seen from Chicago over the last 2 weeks, like their offense is humming, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it only gets better when Rome comes back. He's been hurt. He's been hurt what for the last 3?
Yeah, he was hurt the last month with that foot issue.
So, I mean, yeah, Chicago's ascending because things are clicking for Caleb, but that's not a reflection on Rome being out of the lineup. I think him coming back only makes it better. It's very clear they want nothing to do with DJ Moore. They try so hard not to give him the ball, but yet still put him on the field. So I think it'll be just fine for Rome when he comes back. I really do. I wouldn't be worried about it. In fact, if he does make it back here, it's going to be fun to watch him in the playoffs and see how that unfolds.
Yeah, hopefully he makes it back and he's ready for the playoffs. It's one of those tricky foot issues. He had a slight fracture in his foot. I'm not sure which bone, but weirdly, he tried to come back the second week of that injury in a frigid temperatures. It was like in the single digits in Chicago, and he tried to play, and he was done before the game even started. And then we had that weird scenario where 45 minutes prior to game time they say he's okay, so everybody's putting him into their lineups, and then 5 minutes before, literally like 5 minutes before, at 11:55 Central, he's announced as out.
Yeah.
So everybody is scrambling to get him out of their lineups then, those people who had put him in. Now, from my perspective, I only had him on 1 or 2 teams. I wasn't even putting him into my lineup because I didn't trust.
Because it just wasn't worth it. Yeah.
He hadn't done that much for the previous 3 or 4 weeks anyway. So I was like, how is this guy going to actually score points for me? But yeah, I know there were a lot of people that were very upset over that situation that happened. And there was even a thing like on CBS Sportsline, they came out and said that the commissioners should allow people to take him out, because the weird thing with CBS Sportsline, and this is the only site that I know that does this, is they lock your lineups 5 minutes prior to kickoff.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's why they were coming out and telling people, the commissioners, you should allow people to switch, which I don't know. I'm not a fan of that, but I didn't have to worry about that because I was using Sleeper.
Yeah.
Sleeper allows you to switch right up to kickoff. And so if you decided that Roma Dunze was your best option, well, that's on you, really, in my opinion. I'm not going to, I mean, there's the auto sub feature, which I have in all of the leagues I commish. I use the auto sub feature. I recommend it for anybody who's a commissioner in lineup leagues to allow that auto sub feature, because there's, what can I say? There's more to life than fantasy football, as much as it's hard for people to believe with some of us in the industry, but there is more to life, and we can't always make that switch. So I think that the auto sub feature is more than fair to have as a backfall for owners. And that's one thing, that's a lesson that I would say learned from this year, is that definitely helped, right? And that's something that I want to look into this off season, because now is the time to do that. I want to make sure all my leagues that I commish, the rules are all clear for everybody, and that we touch up on any of those rules over the next month or two. Now's the time to, if somebody wants to put something out there in your leagues to vote on, this is the time to do it. This is the house cleaning period, at least January and February, before we get even more heavily involved in the draft. This is the time to go over those things within your leagues. Right, Matt? Is there anything you want to bring up
we do that
as far as leagues go and rules in particular, I guess?
Yeah, in some of the leagues I commission, we do kind of like end of, I want to say end of year, but more like beginning of year type meeting. To where we kind of just, if anyone has any grievances, things they'd like to see changed, we all just kind of jump together on a virtual and let the issue get brought up, talk about it. And if a change is needed to be made, we make it. If not, it just goes by the wayside. But either which way, it's an opportunity for us to improve or keep our league the way we want it, where everyone's happy, and we're if there's updates we want to do or whatever it may be, it gives our league a chance to evolve into the next season. Because ultimately you want your leagues to be there and not collapse, and you have the engagement. So whatever you can do to help keep the league functioning and everybody happy, you got to do it. And one of those things is just having either a postseason or a preseason meeting to make sure everybody's good with the way things are set up. And that's one of them.
Yep. And you've been good at that, doing that in the bottom line league. You've done that every year. We've had a virtual and we've made a couple of little slight adjustments. Most of them have had to do with how the draft picks go. I think that's how we were able to determine the max points for, and we were able to, one year we had somebody leave, or we had two teams leave, I think, and we were able to come to an agreement on what kind of what did we give them? Picks. What did we give them? The 201 and 202?
I think. So we extended the first round to like 113, 114, and just threw those, like created a whole nother round to throw those picks into while we did the draft. And then like pause the draft, get their picks for the supplemental picks, and then reopen the draft again at the 201, and no one missed a beat. So yeah, there was some workarounds, but even that we were able to get done. But it's crazy. You got 12 people to agree, or 13 in that case, on doing that. So, but it's open communication. So,
and I think the main thing there was we had to get the people who own the 201 and 202 to agree that this was what was best for the league. And they both did. And so that was fortunate.
Yeah, and guess what? Neither one of those picks has like completely turned around those franchises in a year, and they're just killing it. It's not. I think Jonathan Brooks was taken with one pick and Michael Penix the other. So
yeah,
they haven't even really one of the picks hasn't even played more than like 10 snaps his whole career. So
yeah, well, Johnny Brooks, he's out there. He's
yeah,
available for whoever wants him. And then yeah, Michael Penix, that'll be an interesting offseason there for Atlanta.
Kirk Cousins starter week 1. Just telling you, it's going to happen.
I would be on that plane right now. Yes, I think it is going to be Kirk Cousins. So Atlanta, it may have not played out the way they wanted to, but them investing heavily in the quarterback room has at least given them some stability there.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think either of them has performed to the level that they've wanted. But to be fair, they at least have something there at quarterback. Yeah. Like they're not the Jets anymore, right? They're a step up, and that was their goal by what they did there. Obviously, their defense hasn't stepped up to the plate like they had hoped. They invested heavily this last offseason by giving up their first round pick in 2026 for a late 2025 pick, and that was James Pierce, I believe, who I know you own in our
every IDP league I play in.
Yes. And to be fair, Pierce, he had 8 or 9 sacks this year, so it's not like he
over the last once his snap share increased, he started getting a sack a game or half a sack a game.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Well, that ends our discussion on trades for the 2025 season. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and throw them down below. We'll be happy to answer them. We'll be doing some roster reviews coming up here. The trade show may be moving over to the Dynasty Rewind coming up. So make sure you subscribe to the Dynasty Rewind. You'll catch myself and Matt doing content over there this off season. We're excited for that opportunity. Thank you to the Dynasty Rewind for the opportunity. We're looking forward to joining with them. But we'll still be putting out content here on the Birdhouse Dynasty show for sure for you. So keep liking and subscribing here as well. But yeah, again, any roster reviews you'd like, this is the time where we really can hit those up hard and help you with your rosters, help you build. The idea is just so that you do have a concrete idea of what you're doing going into the 2026 season and give you some ideas and ways you can improve your rosters. Anything else, Matt, before we go that you want to put a little bow on to end the 2025 season?
Oh, no. It was a long, fun season, and I'm happy it's over so we can move on. There was one, well, I guess you could count it as two predictions I made before the season started, and they both came true this past week. In that, going from worst to first in 2 leagues, that was pretty cool. That was the coolest thing. I didn't win all of my leagues, but the 2 that I put my neck out and said I will win these leagues this year, I went out and did it. Took a lot of luck, but it also took making the right moves at the right time, not trading my draft capital too soon, and letting the season kind of come to me instead of me trying to bring the season to my team. So I think that's my biggest piece. Let the season come to you before you start making tons of moves. See what you've already got, then move.
Yeah, and congrats to you for those 2 leagues. You definitely plan those out, and then you let the season come to you, as you just said. Like, you didn't just try and turn it all around immediately in a mass, like 3 or 4 trades in the middle of April, and all of a sudden we're like, okay, now I'm the top. I went from the top valued in draft picks. All of a sudden now I have the most value in players. You didn't do that. You made it a slow process. And then as the season went on and you saw that you were building and having the team was coming together, then you made maybe one or two more moves. And that's the idea. You want to have this sort of house money type season, right? Where if you do one of those full on rebuilds, you don't want to just go into the next season expecting to win, right? It's a definite possibility, but you have to kind of let the younger players that you have step up, and then you go and build and bring in a couple of veterans to solidify the points that you're getting. So, but we'll get into that through the off season. Great job on those two squads, Matt. And it was a great fun season with you guys. Thanks for the viewership. We really appreciate it. Keep hitting the like button and throwing your comments down below. We love continuing to grow here in the birdhouse and appreciate you all out there. So thank you once again. And remember to never stop working.